Okay, welcome to another video. In this video, I'll be talking about chapter 4, which is production possibility curves. That's what we'll be talking about in this chapter. And I hope that you enjoy the video. So we'll be talking about that. Okay, so a production possibility curve can also be called a production possibility frontier. So if you see the two names, it doesn't make any difference or boundary. And it shows the maximum output of two types of products and the various combinations of these two products that a country can produce using the resources they have. So a country, two products using the resources they have, the combination of those two products that they can produce. So, and it also gives a limit. I'll show you an image of this so that you can understand what we're talking about. So this is an example of a production possibility curve. And it's only showing two products. So it's showing dresses and shirts. So quantity of dresses and quantity of shirts. This is a small economy, of course, that can only produce. If they choose to produce only dresses, they produce 8 dresses and 0 shirts. If they choose to produce only shirts, they produce 10 shirts and 0 dresses. And they can produce a combination like here at B, where they produce 4 dresses and 8 shirts, or here where they produce 6 dresses and 6 shirts. So they can choose to produce, or they can even be producing at this particular point here where they're producing 4 shirts and 4 dresses. 4 dresses and 4 shirts. So this is something that they can do. Okay, so let's go back and see some notes here. So the PPC usually can have several points. For example, the points you saw, we have point A, B, C, D. All these points will show that this economy is using all the resources they have, and they are using all their resources efficiently. That's why they are producing on the line. If by any chance they're producing at point E, the economy is inefficient. Inefficient. Right, and of course point F is unachievable. We cannot achieve this point F. So E shows inefficiency. F is unachievable because we don't have resources to produce beyond this PPC. And points A, B, C, and D show productive efficiency. So they show productive efficiency. This economy is very productive. Productive efficiency. So that's what we're going to get at that particular point. All right. So any point that's inside that curve will show that the economy is not making full use of its resources. Points on the curve will show productive efficiency. They do not show allocative efficiency. They only show productive efficiency. Okay? And points beyond the curve are currently we are not in a position to attain those points. Like point F, we cannot attain points beyond the curve. Okay, now let's think about movement along the PPC. So a movement, for example, from A to B or B to C, so any movement from A to B will indicate several things. So, for example, moving from A to B means now we're producing less shirts and now we're producing some dresses. At this point, we're producing 10 shirts and 0 dresses. At this point, now we produce less shirts and some dresses. So we end up producing 8 shirts and 4 dresses. And at this point, we end up producing a bit more less shirts and more dresses. This is what this shows. A movement shows a reallocation of resources. So it shows resources are being reallocated from one product to the other. So it's a reallocation of resources. Now, and the concept that I've just discussed also is the concept of opportunity cost that we talked about in the previous video. That for this particular case, if we start at A, for this economy to be able to produce dresses, they must give up some shirts. So if we start at point A, for them to produce any dresses, they must give up some shirts. And that is what we call opportunity cost. So if they were to produce at this point B here, they'll be able to produce 4 dresses, but they have to give up 2 shirts. So now they produce only 8 shirts, while they could have produced 10 as before. So that is the concept of opportunity cost shown on that diagram there. Now, it's very important to notice that that PPC that you're looking at right now is curved outward. This PPC is curved outward. And this concept is a concept that is known in economics as the concept of increasing opportunity cost. That's why it's curved outwards. So basically the PPC can be curved outward, and the PPC can be a straight line, as I'll show you just now. So the PPC can be this straight line, or it can be curved outward. If it's curved outward, it's called the concept of increasing opportunity cost, as I've noted there. And it basically means the resources that are needed to produce the good that's on this axis will not be the same exact resources that are needed to produce the good that's on this axis. So for example, if we are producing, like in this particular case, shirts and dresses, you find that the resources needed to produce shirts may not be exactly the same resources used to produce dresses. And that's why the PPC is shaped outwards. If by any chance the resources that we needed to produce that good B were the same resources that we needed to produce good A, then the PPC would be a straight line. This straight line, this PPC, has what is called constant opportunity cost, which is right here. So constant opportunity cost. Okay, so it's a very rare case. Sometimes you get a straight PPC. This basically means we have constant opportunity cost. All right, let's move forward. Now, the PPC can shift to the right or to the left. I've shown that here. This is the PPC shifting to the right, and here's the PPC shifting to the left. So the PPC can shift to the right. The production possibility curve can shift to the right, or the production possibility curve can shift to the left. So I've shown those both here. And a shift to the right of the PPC means there's either been an increase in quality, in the quality or in the quantity of resources. So basically an increase in something like labor, so a larger labor force. Remember we talked about this before. A larger labor force can be maybe because of immigration, can be because of increasing the retirement age, can be because of reducing the school leaving age, and that can shift the PPC to the right. Another thing is improved education. This is going to increase the productivity of labor, of course, and improve the quality of labor, and therefore they'll be able to produce more per hour, per worker. And then advances in technology, for example, robotics. This may improve production so shift the PPC to the right. Okay, now this shift in the PPC, remember this PPC is a possibility curve. So the shift to the right is basically going to be showing potential economic growth. It's very important for you to remember that, because when you get to the chapter on economic growth, you're going to tell the difference between potential economic growth and actual economic growth. And of course, a shift to the left of the PPC would be because maybe of a reduction in capital. This can be caused by a disaster, maybe depreciation of capital, unreplaced capital, depletion of resources, a reduction in labor supply, and things like that. So this is going to show it's going to be shown with the shift to the left. The shift to the left. Shift to the right is when there's an increase in quality or quantity of resources, and the shift to the left is when there is a decrease in quantity or quality of resources. Okay. So basically, to get a clear, short brief of what actual versus potential economic growth means, is that a shift in the PPC represents potential growth. Actual economic growth is when real GDP increases or real output increases. And that would be a movement toward the curve. So from somewhere there, if this is what we're producing, then we move toward the curve, then that would be actual economic growth. For example, from E to C, this would be actual economic growth. Okay, let's move forward. The key concept we can learn here in the PPC is the concept of scarcity, where we show that there's a limit to what we can produce. So we can see the concept of scarcity here. And also the concept of choice. We can see that we choose what we want to produce, the various combination that we can produce, so we can make a choice. We also see the opportunity cost, that the more we choose to produce these, the more of this that we produce, we have to sacrifice another good. So that is called opportunity cost, when you have to sacrifice something in order for this to be achieved. We also have efficiency, which can be shown by what we talked about, productive efficiency, and this is on the PPC. Productive efficiency is on the PPC. Now, important to note, this is the last part of the video, that the PPC shows productive efficiency but does not show allocative efficiency. So basically, the PPC can show us what we can produce with the resources we want, but it cannot show us if that is what consumers want. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and you can share this video with your friends.